Well, welcome to our final week of lead magnets that lead somewhere. Well, it may be our final week of teaching, but I'm sure there's still a lot of work to do. So we will continue working on that in the Academy, Book Marketing Pro Academy. So just head over to the Facebook page and our Facebook group, and we'll have more training there and all the things. So good to see you. Thanks for popping in and saying hello. So let's kind of review over the past 4 weeks. You have been creating something incredibly important. And just so you know, if you're behind, it's okay. The training's still there. You can always go back and watch. Just start where you are. But remember, you didn't just create a lead magnet. You're really building something that has the intention to reach your reader. We have identified our reader. We've clarified the need that they have and created something that really does serve them. And then hopefully we're at the point where we're ready to make it accessible and even shareable. But here's the truth. All right. Oh, it's Gloria Fenimore. Hi, Gloria. I was like, who is Common Sense Doctrine? So thanks for popping in, Gloria. Okay, here's the truth. Creating the lead magnet is not the actual goal that we have. It's connection. Connection is the goal. And that's why what we're going to actually step into this week. Because a lead magnet that's created but not used consistently will not grow your audience. So this week is really turning what you built into a rhythm, something that continues to work for you over time. So here we go. Here's the big idea of this training for today. Your lead magnet is not just a project. Your lead magnet is a tool. And tools are meant to be used regularly, right? Many authors create one lead magnet, they share it once or twice, and then they just stop. Not because it didn't work, but because they didn't build a habit around using it. Your audience growth is not going to come from just one post or one promotion. It's going to come from consistency, showing up, continuing to offer something that is helpful to the reader over a period of time. So this week, we are focusing on how your lead magnet will become part of your natural rhythm as an author. And so I'm going to give you the 4 steps. And then after the 4 steps, what you're going to do is in the Facebook group, I'm going to walk you through step by step each day. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, with all the instructions. So we're going to breeze through it quickly, but then hopefully you will just reach out in the Facebook group and be able to work through each piece. And as I told the group the other day on our coaching session, we're going to do what we call the hot seat, the lead magnet hot seat. And so you can sign up to bring your lead magnet to our small coaching group. And then we will go over your lead magnet and all the things that we can do to make it better, perhaps, see if there's any design elements that are needed, and then really talk about how you can begin to share it. So here we go. Step 1 for week 5 is this: create a simple sharing rhythm. So the first step in building a rhythm for sharing your lead magnet is this. It's not done constantly. It's not aggressive, but consistently. There's a difference. You don't need to post about it every day, but your lead magnet should show up regularly in what you share. So, for example, you might mention it once a week. You might include it at the end of a post or a blog or an email. You might refer to it when someone asks you a question related to your topic. But it's not about promotion. It's about offering help when it's relevant. But I really want to expand how you think about this, because it's not just social media. In fact, social media will get you some interaction with it, but it's not the main place. Your lead magnet can be shared anywhere you are interacting with people who care about your message. So it could be an event where you're talking with someone after a session, at a book signing when someone expresses interest in your topic. It could be during a speaking opportunity where you offer a next step. A great place to put it is inside your book as a way to continue the relationship. It could be in a conversation simply with someone who's struggling with the thing that you write about, in a small group, a Bible study, a workshop, even in a simple one-on-one moment where someone asks, do you have anything that can help with this? In all of those moments, your lead magnet just becomes a natural extension to the conversation. So instead of thinking, I need to promote it, you begin thinking, when someone is already interested, how can I offer them something that's helpful to them? It's a completely different mindset. You're not interrupting people, you're responding to them. And when your lead magnet is connected to a real need, it will feel natural to share in those particular instances. So some of the questions that you can think about are, like, where are you already having conversations with people who care about your topic? Not just online, but anywhere. And so you can answer, where in your real life could your lead magnet naturally be shared? Those two questions are really, really important. In fact, I'm going to put them in the chat so you can think about it. Let's see. I think I can do this. Let's see if I have my questions written out. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see if it shows up. If it does, oh, there it is. So there, you can have it. Here's the two questions. Should be popping in. Where are you already having conversations? Let's see. Where are you already having conversations with people who care about your topic? And where in your real life could your lead magnet naturally be shared? So those are questions that you can answer to help you navigate the first step. Now, the next step is step 2. All right, here we go. Create multiple ways for people to access your lead magnet. So this step really is on kind of expanding how people actually access your lead magnet. Because here's what kind of happens. An author creates a lead magnet and then only shares it one way, usually through a link on social media. And while that can work, it's also very limiting. I mean, if you think that you want your lead magnet to actually grow your audience, you need to discover other pathways to it. You want to create multiple and simple ways for people to actually step into your space, into your world. So let's talk about what it could look like. One option could be, and I know this is very meaningful and it could be a lead magnet in itself, is creating an interactive, something that's interactive, like a quiz. A quiz will draw people in to perhaps answer a few questions to navigate, oh, this is something that I could use too. A quiz is powerful because it does offer it kind of invites engagement. So instead of saying just download this, you're saying discover this about yourself. We all know people like to know stuff about themselves, right? So for example, what type of parent are you? So we're going back to Lynette's lead magnet, kind of thinking through hers. What type of parent are you when it comes to teaching character? Or what stage of waiting are you in? What is your child struggling most with now? These questions will help them interact with you. And then based on the result, you can guide them to your lead magnet or your book. So now all of a sudden it feels personal to them. It is relevant. And now they're stepping into your message in a very meaningful way. Another simple but powerful tool is something physical, like a postcard, something you can hand someone in a real life interaction that would have a QR code that could help them download it. So it could be at a speaking event, a book signing, a workshop, church, school, wherever you are. Instead of trying to explain everything in the moment, you simply say, I have something that could help you with this. And then you hand them something that's simple and clear and easy to follow. Has a QR code on it, maybe a clear invitation. But here's the truth. If we don't make it easy, most people won't follow through later. You also want your lead magnet to be easy to find in your online space. So it should live on your homepage, not hidden, not something people have to search for when they get there. Something that immediately answers the question, how can you help me? Because when someone lands on your page, they should quickly see that this is for them, that this could help them, and it gives them direction of this is where I could start. So now let's talk about where you share it. Your lead magnet should naturally fit into the places, like I said, you're already showing up. So if you're speaking, it becomes the next step. If you're teaching, it becomes a takeaway. If you're having a conversation with someone, it's a natural response. If you're part of a community like a church, a school, or your small group, it becomes something you offer when it's relevant. But here's the important distinction. You're not just handing something out, you're helping people take a next step. So instead of saying like, here, download this later, you might say something like, let me show you how to get this. Or you can scan this right now and it'll go straight to your email. You need to guide them with every single step, because the easier you make it, the more likely the person is to follow through. So this is a mindset shift, and it's the one I really want you to make. Don't just create a resource. Don't just post about it. Think about, where are my people already? And how can I place this in front of them in a way that's natural and simple and helpful? Because your lead magnet is really only going to work if it's going to reach the right people. And when it does, that's when your audience begins to grow. So here are the 2 questions I have for you to answer. Get them in the post. So where are your people already gathering? And what is the easiest way for you to put your lead magnet into their hands in that space? All right. Another question you could really answer as well is, let me put this one in for you. I'm not sure where it's going to go here or not, but let's get that in there. Here's the question. What are 2 to 3 topics you could talk about naturally that connect to your lead magnet? This way, when you're in a conversation, whether it's at an event, maybe you're at church on a Sunday morning and meeting someone for the first time, we don't want to force it on them, but if we have something that could help them with something they're struggling with, and you find out, why wouldn't you offer it to them? Okay, here's number 3. Step 3, nurture the relationship. So the 3rd step actually happens after you receive your lead magnet. This is the step where many authors stop. They create a resource, they share it, someone downloads it, and then nothing happens. Crickets. But that was never the goal. The goal was not just a download. The goal is supposed to be relationship. Your lead magnet is really simply the beginning of a connecting point. So now we ask a different question. Where are you leading people, and how will you serve them once they get there? Okay, so let's talk about this for a minute. Now, this might be a little bit further down the road for some of you, and it's okay, but it's good to know and to be thinking ahead, because as we know, sometimes we put all of this content into a humongous lead magnet, and this content actually can become the nurture sequence. So some of you are leading people to maybe your email list. This is actually one of the most powerful tools that you have, because it gives them a direct way to stay connected to you. It doesn't depend on an algorithm. It doesn't depend on them popping in at just the right time. It's not like, I hope they see my content when I place it wherever it is. But email is a place where you can consistently speak into your reader. So it could look like, and again, you create the time frame, but whatever you choose, just be consistent. So you might do an email teaching with an encouragement. Maybe it's weekly. Maybe it's a short teaching, a story, reflection, a simple step. It doesn't have to be long. You need to be consistent when you're doing it. And some of you may be leading people to a Facebook group, and this is a different kind of connection. Now your readers are not just hearing from you, but they're actually able to interact with others as well. So you're creating a community, which is kind of a fun thing to do. And this might look like posting a question or starting a conversation. sharing a short teaching, or encouraging interaction. It doesn't have to be constant, but it should feel like a space where somebody is actually showing up and I don't feel alone. And there are lots of ways where you can manage and engage in your Facebook group so that people cannot just continually be commenting or putting their own posts. And so we do have a training on how to create a Facebook group that you can watch and be able to create that, because it's from like point A, like starts from the very beginning and shows you all the ways to do it and even how to use your Facebook group. Sometimes you might want to turn your lead magnet into something that's a little bit more interactive. So you could use a Zoom group or a small gathering or even a short study. This could create a deeper level of connection where people aren't just reading, but they're engaging in real time, and they're able to really connect with you. It can also be like even a podcast or a YouTube channel. Like you can lead them anywhere you want to give them content, whatever that space is. Again, email is the best because then you have a full connection with them, but you can get their email even as you are leading them to another area where you're going to actually nurture them. So whatever feels most comfortable for you. But to get your lead magnet, they give you their email address. Then you have to figure out, where am I going to nurture them from there? But really, once you're asking the question, like, what platform should I use? It's not the most important question, because really what we want to know is, where is the best place that you, in your gifting and ability, can serve your reader consistently? It's where are you going to show up where it feels something that you can actually have that's sustainable? Where can you continue the conversation that you started with the lead magnet? Because that's what this is. It's a continuation. Practically, if your lead magnet helps someone take one step, your next step is to help them take the next one, not 10, just one. So if your lead magnet was about teaching a child to keep their word, your email might include another simple parenting moment. You might ask, what is one way you are teaching this in your home this week? Get interaction back. That way they feel like they have someone that they can talk to. You could even do a Zoom where you might walk through another story or example. Everything builds on what they've experienced. So you're not building an audience to sell to. You're building a group of people that you are consistently serving. And over time, your consistency is going to build trust. Your trust builds that relationship, and that relationship builds readers of your book. So here is the question, and I see that there are questions in the group, so I will go ahead and answer those in just a minute. Let me get this question for you, or these two questions that you can think about. Where are you currently leading people? And what is one simple way that you could serve them there this week? So if you have a Facebook group, if you have an email newsletter and you haven't been consistent with it, what's a way that you can serve them to get them to interact with you? Okay, let me look at the questions that we had so far. If a lead magnet is on the home page, isn't that where you ask them for their email address? Yes. So your lead magnet, the prompt to get your lead magnet is on your home page. They click the prompt or the little whatever you have there, and then that leads them to the place where they enter their email address. And once they enter their email address and hit submit, then the lead magnet is delivered to them. You can see that on my homepage if you wanted to look at it, caroltetzlaff.com. A lead magnet that I created back in like December is there, which I will be changing out soon because I'm now going to be promoting a Bible study. So, your lead magnet, remember, it doesn't always have to be the same one. All right, and then Lynette has a question. How do you balance the email list versus the Facebook group? Are they actually standalone contact points? Okay, so for me, I think so Facebook group is something that is more community driven. So that's where all the people can connect to each other. And it's typically people that obviously are interested in something that you have created, a topic that you are promoting. And so those people have some things in common. So typically in there, like I would do more, like question posts, really short things that maybe get them to interact, maybe short encouragements. You could put together a rhythm for yourself. And I believe we have training on this, but we can talk about what it would look like for, each of your specific messages and, the basic like brand that you're trying to create with your ministry. You could say like on Mondays, I ask a question, and on Wednesdays, I put a verse of encouragement, and on Friday, I put a question starter to ask your children at dinner, whatever. You put together some kind of content that's just very basic and simple, where an email list is something that typically a newsletter takes a little more time. Some people do once a month, some people do once a week, just kind of depends on the bandwidth that you have. But an email newsletter is much more substantive. Now, you can use the content of your email newsletter and place small snippets of it in your Facebook group. In fact, if you did that, because when people join your Facebook group, they don't necessarily join your newsletter if they find it some other way besides getting your lead magnet. And so you can promote your lead magnet in your Facebook group, but you also can, maybe you wrote an article about how to, what do you do for a child who consistently does not tell the truth? And so maybe you get some parenting suggestions. Well, you put one suggestion in the Facebook group, and then you say, for more suggestions, join my email newsletter, because I'm going to be going through 10 different ways in, over the next 10 weeks of how to do that. So they can interplay with each other. You just have to decide, you can actually use both. So, and have them kind of lead to each other. So I don't know if that answered your question, Lynette, but that's what I got for the day. You can ask a clarifying question if I did not. Well, I talked about our last step for this week, and it's going to be step 4, expand your reach. So the final step is really to begin thinking beyond just your reader, not by starting over, but expanding what you've already created. Because once you have a strong focused lead magnet, you don't need to create something entirely new to reach new people. You simply need to ask, who else could this help, and how might I adjust it to serve them? Remember, we don't want to say that our lead magnet is for all people, for the teachers, it's for the parents, it's for grandparents, it's for homeschoolers, it's for church, Sunday school teachers, it's for youth. No, we need to focus on our main audience, but then we'll need to create other ways to look beyond that. So many authors think they need to create multiple lead magnets to reach different audiences. And sometimes that may be a true statement, but often you can extend the life of the one that you have, the impact of one lead magnet with just intentional small shifts. So you've already done the hardest part for this first one. You've clarified your reader, you've identified the real need, and you've created something helpful. So now we're going to ask the question, where else or who else needs this message? So sometimes expansion is simple. It's just changing how you introduce it. For example, you may have created, as Lynette did, a lead magnet, perhaps for a parent, but that same resource could be helpful to a teacher, a ministry leader, small group leader, a grandparent. The content may not need to change much, but the way you position it might. So if the original lead magnet is written for a parent doing one-on-one with their child, you could expand it by thinking about, how could this activity or this lead magnet look in a classroom of 30 children? Now, instead of the verbiage, here's how to have a conversation with your child, it's here's how to lead a group discussion, or here's how to lead a discussion with your group, or here's how to guide this activity in a classroom or a ministry setting. So it's the same message, it's the same core value, but we've now expanded the application. Now, sometimes the expansion of this happens just through a simple welcome message. you can speak directly to a different audience without even changing the entire resource. So for an example, if you started with, if you're a parent and here's how to use this at home, you could just simply change it to, if you're a teacher, here's how to adapt this for your classroom. Or if you're a ministry leader, here's how this can support your group. See, you're helping different people see themselves in the resource, and that's what makes it valuable to them. So you're not creating more work for yourself. You're just multiplying what you've already created. And that's how your message begins to spread naturally, because now that your lead magnet is not just helping one type of reader, it's becoming a resource that others can share and use and pass along. But if we try to help too many people with the same resource and not have individual messaging, we may not help anyone. And that's why we really worked on the one person. So here are the 2 questions to think about. Look at this, I'm doing all this without an assistant today. Here we go. Okay, so the questions are, who else could benefit from what you've already created? So what other individuals, what other groups, what other communities can you foster? And then what is one small shift that you could make to help them use it? So when you think through that list of people, think through, okay, which group is close enough that I could use the same exact content of my lead magnet and just change my welcome message, or just change how this is going to help them meet a need that they have in a different type of scenario. So that is point 4. Again, all 4 of those points are going to be revisited within the Facebook group so that you can day by day kind of walk through those steps when you are ready for this part of the your lead magnet. So now we really have together in the last 4 weeks built something that's very meaningful. It's not just a basic resource. You're creating like a bridge that is a way for your readers to find you and connect with you and really stay with you as you continue to either write your book or really want to get the message of your book out there. So as you move forward, I'm going to give you 3 things to remember, and they kind of train together. They link together. Consistency is going to build your connection. Your connection will build trust, and your trust builds readers of your book. So your lead magnet is the beginning of something amazing. Now we need to begin to use it. So in just a few minutes, I will post a summary of this training that we just did in the group. And then starting tomorrow morning, you will get part 1 of this week. And I'm not sure if we have a coaching session this week. I'll look at the calendar and see. But we will continue to work on getting your lead magnets moving forward and reaching your reader. So thanks for joining me today. Hope it was helpful. And I look forward to seeing you all in the Facebook group at Book Marketing Pro Academy.